So we're talking about how to get your message out, and so I'm going to get into some of the nitty-gritty. I'm not going to talk in theory. That's John Robson's department. That's Elsa's department. I'm going to talk in the nitty-gritty. I've seemed at times rude at the back of the room because I've been sitting on my laptop while other people have been talking. That's because I'm working while I'm here. I'm getting my message out, writing for a bunch of different places, as well as working with Ezra Levant on the Rebel.media. So we decided Sun News was shut down. That's not going to stop us. The day that Sun News was shut down, February the 13th, Friday the 13th, I was actually on CFRA 580 in Ottawa filling in for Lowell Green. So, it hasn't stopped me from the day we were let go until now from being out there in the media. But not everyone can have a 50,000 watt radio station to use as their megaphone. I don't get to use it all that often, but it's there. So what do you do? Well, Ezra and I literally started in our living rooms. I got off the radio on February 13th. I went home. I said, you know what? I'm hearing so much, or I heard so much from fans of Sun News in Ottawa that just wanted to know that I was okay or what happened or to send their best wishes. I said, I've got to do something. So literally just set up with my phone, recorded a short video, posted it on Facebook. Within hours, it had 4,000 plus views on it. It was pretty impressive, and it just kept growing from there. By Sunday or Monday, my memory's fuzzy, Ezra and I had started in our living rooms with the equipment that we had at our disposal. I was using my wife's Canon DSLR camera. It's the old-fashioned camera, but digital, recording videos. Just doing monologue rants that way, posting them online. Right now, what I've got with me here is the upgrade. You may have heard we did a crowdfunding campaign for the Rebel Media. So I've got a $2,000 camera here, some microphones and lights. You don't have to use something that expensive to be able to produce something or to get your message out, but that does give us a few more options because I am still going to news conferences where I need certain abilities that a regular camera doesn't have. Like I can plug into the soundboard so that if I'm recording a politician, I can get the good quality sound. But technology is making it incredibly cheap for people to make and create their own media and then share it. And then social media, if you've got something that people want to hear and you're able to find a couple people, you can grow an audience to share what's there. So I'll talk about those two things, and then I'll talk about if you don't want to make your own media, but you want to share what other people are doing, how to do it, and I'll wrap up on the Rebel and what we're doing. So to give a couple of examples, camera, $2,000. You don't want to use that, you don't want to spend that kind of money. If you've got a digital camera that records video, you can use that. If not, you can use a phone. Most smartphones have video, and it's funny, they shoot in HD. My studio at Sun News could not shoot in HD. It was still a standard definition robotic camera system. If you want better quality sound, you can actually connect a microphone to this. I've got two microphones. They cost me $29. They're the lapel mics you use on TV. And let me just show you. It's amazing. It's amazing all the things that I have in my bag here. Just trying to put stuff down so that it doesn't turn off Elsa's recording.
Step some over here or anything? Or
Nope.
you're good?
This is a mini tripod that I got at Walmart for $14. I can wrap it around this if I want. I can just set it up on here. And my iPhone connects to it. So it holds it steady so that nobody else has to sit there and hold it for me. And that was $14. As I mentioned earlier, my parents come from Scotland, so I'm frugal. This little doohickey allows me to connect a standard microphone to my iPhone. I've been recording podcasts and interviews while I've been here. This was probably about $30. That's it. connects to my iPhone. There's a free app that goes with it. I'm producing media, and I'm off. My microphone, this is is manufactured by Shure. They make some of the best microphones in the world of music. This is a consumer-grade version of what every rock band and political figure has been speaking into for the last 40, 50 years. If you wanted to get the professional grade, it's about $100, but I think I spent 30 or 40 on this, and that's it.
Is that wired or wireless?
This is wired. The wire's just down here, and that's what I connect into my iPhone. I've been sitting here, as I said, doing podcasts. I arrived yesterday, and in the afternoon, and I had an interview that I'd done with John about his Magna Carta project in Ottawa the day before we left, an interview that I did with Ezra. I had some material on Justin Trudeau I wanted to do. I went over to the Starbucks that has a nice patio just around the corner, enjoyed the beautiful sunshine here in Calgary, and recorded my thoughts. I did my radio show sitting on the patio at Starbucks, went back to the room, edited it using free software, and posted it online. And I haven't checked in a bit, but just shy of 3,000 people have listened to that so far. So all of this is being done on a frugal budget, and we're trying to do things on a frugal budget with both me individually and the Rebel, because people gave us money to buy gear, and we're trying to be good stewards of that money and not run out of it, because we're on our own. We don't have a giant corporation behind us. One of the things that you have trouble with when you are doing video is that you don't have proper lighting. You can actually buy the full photographer's lighting kits for $99 on Amazon if you want to go fancy. You can, or you want to spend, I think it's about $180. You can get a green screen, white screen, black screen, plus the lights for $180. This little kit, you can get these from $79 at Future Shop. It's a light that mounts on the front of your camera. The professional TV guys are using these now. These are LED lights, so when you turn it on, boom, full proper lighting on what you're doing. So the technology is making it so that you don't have to rely on the big networks to provide the media that is out there, or everything that we consume. This is kind of the AV version of what blogging was 10 years ago. You know, we've all been on blogs. We've all gotten used to getting our news and views from blog sites. Some people in the room run them. But that was for the printed word. Well, since then, over the last 10 years, on the electronic front, whether it's audio, video, radio, TV type stuff, that has come down. This microphone that Elsa's using to record the audio for this, a blue microphone, plugs right into your laptop. You can do podcasting, radio shows that way. It's about $60, $69, I think, something like that.
$200.
This one's $200? Okay. I know they started about $69, so this must be the good one.
Yes, it's the
Okay.
top
This.
and it's Alexandra's height.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Or my camera.
but it's working together. So
Yes.
all of these things can be used, and then you leverage things like social media to push it out there. You use YouTube, which is free, to post your video. You use SoundCloud, which is free, to post audio. And then you share it on things like Facebook and Twitter and so on. So that's the technical side. As far as getting your message out on how to do it, maybe you don't want to create, but what do? There were groups within the conservative movement, or groups that were aligned with the conservative movement, that before Sun News came along would always complain that they didn't get the time of day from the media. And then some of these groups got the time of day and they took off. The gun guys, holy cow, they were so grateful that someone was taking their issue seriously, that the persecution of law-abiding gun owners in Canada was an injustice, was finally being taken seriously by somebody. And so if I did a story on guns, boom, they would be sharing it, they'd be sending it to all their friends by email, they'd post it on Facebook, they'd tweet about it. And some of these guys are not, 18-year-old, 20-year-old tech-savvy wizards. They're just average guys at home pissed off that they're treated like criminals because they like to go target shooting or hunting. And they haven't broken any laws, but they're treated like criminals. So they would use this, and some of the stories that we did on firearms at Sun News were some of the most viewed online that we ever had because they were passionate about it, they found a topic, and they shared it that way. Some of the other groups were still complaining to me that nobody took their issues seriously, and then you'd say, well, what about that story? Oh yeah, but I don't really do the computer thing. I don't spread it. Okay, well, if you're going to complain that no one's talking about it, and then when people do, you don't share it because, well, that's not your thing, quit complaining that nobody's talking about it or sharing it. You're just going to be talking to your friends all the time about how, isn't it awful? No one takes it seriously. Okay, well, be taken seriously. Share your message. You've got to have some friends or family that will want to hear the same sorts of things. And then it's like the old shampoo commercial. Gord told 2 friends, then Elsa told 2 friends, then Tom told 2 friends, and so on and so on and so on. And it spreads that way. That is the magic of social media. I was saying earlier today that as far as where to spend your time, if you want to share messages and get it out there, Facebook is the 800-pound gorilla. There's a website called Upworthy, and all they do is take other people's content, repackage it, and put it out there on social media. But they also teach other people how to do it. This is a website that gets a ton of traffic because they know how to write the snappy headlines that make, as you're surfing the web, you see it and you go, I have to click on that. Well, they give lessons on how to use social media to spread your message. And they say everything relies on Facebook. So if you guys are here and you want to spread your message, whether it's about pension reform or getting sane fiscally or Islam or anything else, you've got to be on Facebook and using it for that. Email lists. I mean, if you've got an email list of people that you trust that don't mind getting them, email lists are still very key as well. And then below those 2, there's a big drop before you start getting into anything having real impact. Twitter seems to be all about yelling into the wind on your own. It's very important for reporters in Ottawa to talk to each other, but it's not important for real people to talk to real people. I was speaking with someone from out this way, and they said, none of my friends at home, this is a young person, they said, none of my friends at home are on Twitter. Everybody's on Facebook, but none of them are on Twitter. I said, you're in your 20s, right? He said, yeah. I said, and your friends aren't on Twitter? They said, no, that's pretty much an Ottawa thing. So keep that in mind. If we all have limited time, limited resources, you want to use them in an effective way, that's an effective way. So the cost of being able to produce things is coming down. The ability to spread it it's never been greater. So how do you do it? Well, you've got to produce some content that people are going to want to see and like, and you have to do it in a way that is shareable. So I think John and Elsa have touched on that already. I'll definitely agree. Say it with a smile. It's so much better. I used to get accused as soon as someone accused me of being, you're an old angry white guy on TV, because they found out I was with Sun, I said, you obviously have never watched me. I am and always will be a happy warrior. And that's the only way to go into it. Does that mean that you back down from a fight if there's a fight there? No. As Andrew Breitbart said, the fight's coming to you whether you want it or not, so walk towards the fire. Now, that's Andrew's number one rule, and Ben Shapiro took it and put it into a 10-point book called How to Debate Leftists and Destroy Them. There's a free ebook that you can get, and if you're interested in it, I've put the link onto my Facebook page today, so you can go and download it there. You can either just read it on your laptop, or you can download it. And his number one rule was walk towards the fire. Let me read from it. This is a rule I learned from my late mentor, Andrew Breitbart. He was a very clever tactician who understood the fight at a gut level. He got that politics is warfare by other means and that you have to treat it like war. Andrew used to say that you have to embrace the fight, walk toward the fire. He would explain that you are going to get hit with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune no matter which way you turn. You can try and hide from the attacks of the left. You can run away from them, attempt to ignore them, pretend that the left has reached some sort of quasi-consensus in which they live and let live. That will last until the protesters are outside your business, the government regulators are outside your house, or the administrators are inside your child's classroom. Then you'll realize that while you were willing to live and let live, the left simply wasn't. That's just the first of 10 points that Ben goes through on how to live or how to debate people. Which, if you start posting stuff online, you're going to be debated, you're going to be challenged. So it's worth reading. Danny asked me to talk a bit about the Rebel and what we're trying to do there. It's not going to try and replace Sun News completely, because we don't have those resources, and we don't want a full-scale television network. I think that right now, the way that the media world works, you can get news and headlines everywhere. You sign into your email system, you're being offered news headlines. You go on any website and there's always links to headlines. So you can get your news somewhere. But where are you going to get the analysis, the commentary on that news that's different than the consensus media? Well, hopefully you're going to get it from us. So therebel.media, not .com, .media. And we're looking at focusing on, right now we're focused on video. We're trying to get we're only 23 days old, 24 days old, something around that. We're trying to move towards a system where we do have some headlines for you every day, and we do have videos for you every day, and there's podcasts on a regular basis, and there are things there. But the focus will be on commentary. Right now, we're funded through a crowd-funded system, and the fact that I don't have to work for a couple of weeks because of a severance package. Eventually, we have to be able to pay our bills and feed our children, so we will be moving towards a subscription model and trying to see if there's enough Canadians who like what we're offering and want an alternative viewpoint to be willing to pay a few dollars a month to get content they're not going to get elsewhere. That's our hope, that's our goal. We think it's there because I don't think either of us, when we started this and said, okay, well, let's do some crowdfunding to be able to buy the gear, I don't think either one of us expected to get almost $300,000 sent our way with people saying, we want what you're doing, keep going. So that's helping us buy the equipment we need, rent office space, and pay some of the staffers that don't have the luxury of taking a few weeks if not working, the editors and producers, to say, hey, come on board, we're going to pay you, and we're going to figure out a way to make this work. So that's what the Rebel.media is about. It's trying to say, to heck with the regulators, to heck with the cable companies, to heck with all of it. We think we can go directly to the viewer, the listener, the reader, and say, we can build something with you. And get away from a system that relied on crony capitalism and back-scratching and political favors to be able to broadcast. That's the way the system is now. And part of the reason that the media is the consensus media is the regulatory system that they all have to live under. Beyond the CRTC, the private broadcasters have to live under something called the Canadian Broadcast Standards Council. They impose a boring uniformity through their rulings. I was a thorn in their side for a while. I don't know if any of you remember this story, but it was back in 2010. They reversed a decision, which they'd never really done before, because Well, I read the decision and I thought it was ridiculous, so I wrote a story about it for Sun Media, and it went into about 34 newspapers across the country and on all their websites. Then I emailed that story to all the rock stations, all the classic rock stations, and all the talk radio stations and said, isn't this crazy? And the ruling that they ended up reversing was their ruling on the Dire Straits song Money for Nothing, because it has a line in it that uses the word faggot. And a woman in Newfoundland complained. The song had been on the air for more than 25 years with no complaint. And the ruling didn't even look at what the context of the lyric was. They didn't look at what the narrative was. They just said, oh yeah, that's a bad word, you can't say that, so this song is effectively banned. There was an edited version you could play, but you couldn't play the full version. So one rock station and it took effect immediately. One rock station in Edmonton played the song nonstop for 24 hours. Talk radio stations across the country had their lines light up, and the Broadcast Standards Council was ridiculed for being the censorious jerks that they are. I remember before I was in a position to do that, Cher's child, and I always forget, was it Chaz. Chaz is now a boy but was born a girl, is that it?
No, girl, no, boy.
Okay, so anyway, the announcement came that she was identifying as another gender but hadn't gone through the sex change operation. Well, sex change operations and gender identity, that can be a source of good, honest debate on talk radio. Except there's an existing ruling that prevents talk radio stations from discussing this. And as soon as Cher's child, and I have to use that term because I just keep forgetting, as soon as Cher's child made the announcement, we were all sent the ruling by our program directors saying, by the way, this exists and this is the framework we have to do this in. That's ridiculous. How can you not just question that? How can you not talk about it? But there are certain things you're not allowed to talk about, or you're going to face sanction. Now, I'm not saying you have to go on and say, well, this person's obviously crazy, or there's this, or there's that, but how can we not discuss and debate that? But you can't. That's part of the regulatory system. We're bypassing that with the rebel.media. We still could face lawsuits if we decide to say something stupid. So we're not being irresponsible. You can't slander people. You can't libel people. So we're respectful of the law. We understand that. But why live within the consensus media landscape when technology is at the point where we can go outside of it and say something different, say something fresh, criticize from all sides, question everything with boldness, and put it out there and say, do you accept what we've got? Are you interested? Are you willing to be our partner on it? So hopefully, if you haven't already, you'll check us out, and then when we're ready to do the membership drive, that's what we're calling it. Instead of subscription, we're asking people to become members because we see it as a partnership between the audience and the creators. Hopefully you'll consider that. But I think this is the model for media and content creation going forward, as opposed to the big centralized systems of the networks. Thank you.